In this video, I'm going to go over a bunch of myths that are still being told about fish to this day, and the truth about them. Now, this first one is, fish only remember 5 to 10 seconds. This is just complete bullshit. You can test this yourself by going up to the top of the tank and tapping on the tank. If your fish are fairly tame, like if you have only a few fish, they'll probably come up to the tank expecting food, because they know that when you put your hand up there, that's you giving them food, or even if you don't give them food, they associate you with food. And obviously you don't feed them every 10 seconds, which just already proves that they remember longer than 10 seconds. Fish can actually remember from months to years, and there have been multiple studies done about this. Just simply search it up. This next one is goldfish only live 3 to 5 years, and the same myth is with all sorts of other fish. Now, this myth started because of how horrible people used to take care of their goldfish, and how horrible people do take care of their goldfish. What people will do is they keep them in bowls, they give them a horrible diet, they do too many water changes, and all that will ultimately lead to the goldfish's growth being stunted. Even now, when I searched it up, it comes up, there are still sites that come up with saying, oh, they only live 3 to 5 years. Now, it can happen if you buy from a very bad quality store that sells maybe feeder goldfish who have been inbred over and over and over again and raised horribly. Now, their life is screwed from the start. So obviously if you buy those very, very bad quality goldfish who were screwed from the beginning, they can live to that long, maybe at max. But a goldfish that has not been inbred over and over again, looked after horribly, bred in massive farms, should live 20 to 40 years. 40 years is pretty rare. It's like if you give him exceptional conditions, then yes, they can live that long. But it's more likely that they live around 20 years. Goldfish need a tank of at least 300 liters as adults, depending on which one. Almost every goldfish you get will get very big. Now, another one that a lot of people believe, even somebody I know believes this, which annoys the crap out of me, and that is fish don't feel pain. Fish absolutely do feel pain, and I think it's very stupid that humans assume just because it's another species it doesn't feel pain or it's worthless. Fish do feel pain. There have been multiple studies done. They have pain receptors all throughout their body, along their spine, in their head. They do feel pain. If you put pressure on a fish and it starts to move around, it is freaking out because it can feel you. You can even see, when they get itchy, they'll rub against rocks. If they're rubbing against rocks too much, this could mean that they have, ick or something like that. That's them itching themselves because they're itchy. They can feel stuff on their skin. Now, this one, a lot of people are starting to realize it's not true, but a lot of people believe it. I met a guy at the fish store a few months ago who believed this, and this is fish only grow to the size of their tank and they'll be fine. Now, fish don't necessarily grow to the size of their tank. It's called being stunted. So when a fish is stunted, its body becomes fairly disfigured. Often their organs continue to grow, and if not, they grow very deformed, and it stunts their lifespan, and it's very bad for them. Your fish didn't just grow to the size of the tank, it stunted. So technically, yes, that term is correct, growing to the size of the tank, but it is extremely unhealthy for them. It is actually a survival thing, so when they're in survival conditions, they will only grow that big. But you shouldn't be keeping your fish in survival conditions. You should be keeping them in a place where they are thriving, not surviving. A stunted fish might not live as long. It will look deformed, it will be a lot more skinny, and sometimes their backs are kinked, which is really bad for them. This can lead to their organs being weirdly shaped, very not being good at digesting food, and it's just a horrible mess for these poor fish. If you buy a stunted fish, it can live an okay life if you take care of it from there, but a fish isn't going to live a nice life in conditions where it has been stunted. Now, this one there are mixed opinions about, but that is, small tanks are the best tanks to get for beginners. Now, it's 50-50 on this, because a small tank can be easier because there is less of a volume to look after, but it's also a lot harder because there are much less fish you can get for that tank. In fact, in maybe a 20-litre tank, you might get one betta fish. 20 litres is pretty small for a betta fish as well, but you can't have a school of neon tetras in a 20-litre. Even though they're only this small, you need a group of at least 6. So it's very limited to what fish you can have. And you can get shrimp, but it's just very limited, and often beginners will get fish that grow way too big for that tank. Also, you are much more prone to ammonia spikes. I'm not going to explain the whole entire cycle of ammonia, nitrite, nitrates in this video because it will take too long, but basically your fish are going to poo and plants will break down. If you don't have plants in there, that makes it even worse, because plants absorb ammonia. But because it is such a small volume of water, it is more likely to poison the water, and it can be very hard. Also, if there is a chemical leak or something, there is less volume of water, which means the tank will be affected even worse than a larger tank. And also, your fish are going to have less of a quality of life because they have less room to swim around, unless you get some very, very small fish, which a lot of those tiny fish actually need schools, which you can't keep like 5 to 6 like tetras in a small 20-litre tank. This last one is you should flush your fish down the toilet if they are dead. Now, I've heard a lot of people talk about like you shouldn't do it because it can affect wildlife. Now, where I live and what is happening most places, it used to happen a long time ago where like crap from the toilet would just get flushed out straight into the ocean, but that doesn't really happen anymore because of how much treatment there is that goes in to the water. So it's not necessarily about the disease from the fish infecting the rest of the wildlife, which I suppose there's a very small chance, but the amount of treatment it goes through, it's unlikely that that's going to happen. The thing you want to worry about is the fact that it can clog the toilet, and then its bones get stuck and stuff, and that's very messy, and also the fact that it might still be alive. Now, there are people out there who will actually flush their fish down the toilet even whilst it's alive and whilst they know that because they can't look after the fish anymore. If you have a dead fish, you can just bury it outside. Like, it's not really that hard. If you have a very natural tank, lots and lots of plants, you can actually bury it in the substrate unless it's died from some horrible disease that could get to the other fish. Just bury it if it's dead. Or if it's dying and you cannot look after this fish anymore, maybe you can't have it and there's no other option, you can use clove oil. Use a little bit more than you would to put the fish like into a slow state. People usually do that when they have to like perform surgeries on it. Like if you've seen Luke's Goldies, he uses clove oil to like not put his fish to sleep, but to put them into a very slow state. If you use too much of that, you will kill the fish, and they go out fairly, like it's like them falling asleep. Or you can smash its head in with a hammer, which is a little bit violent, but if that's the only thing you can do, then do that. But really, it's just, you can clog your toilet when you flush the fish down the toilet, and also the fish might possibly still be alive and they will die a very painful and sad death. Now that was all I had for this video. There's a bunch of other myths that I could have covered, but that would have made the video go fairly long. Also, if you want to argue in the comment section, like, there was this one kid in my last video who was like, sort of like getting angry at the fact, I don't know why they were angry, but they were like trying to insult me and the person defending me in the comments, and then they deleted their comment because I told them that they are childish and acting like an idiot. So if you want to argue, be respectful, give me facts if I've genuinely made a mistake, and be respectful. There's no need to use insults like this little kid did in my last video. And yeah, if you would like if you'd like to see any other videos, tell me in the comments. Tell me any other myths that you know of that you like also think is stupid and would like other people to know about, and I'll see you guys in the next video.